here's a very interesting one, which might interest more people too. Akashic records, are they a program? This was very interesting specifically for people who come from the New Age, and you hear all these people talking about, oh, the Akashic records, I just tapped into yours, I'm able to read them, but you will never be able to read yours and all of that. So are they a program? There is a huge war going on in regards to our Akashic records, and they're hijacked by these archangels, because the Archangel Michael card came out. They're hijacked by the angelic beings, by archangels, by entities saying they're the archangels, or also maybe by the archangels putting a spell on that and forgetting about it somehow. Because I still strongly believe, and I've been saying this over and over again for the past 2 to 3 years, some of these archangels, like Archangel Michael, Raphael, Angel Nathaniel, some of these, and I think Angel Nathaniel is actually also one of the apostles from Jesus, Joshua, call it whatever. Some of these archangels are reincarnated right here as humans. So whatever entities all these readers are calling upon, they're not calling upon the real archangels. And that's how I kind of think. So maybe when they were archangels, they were probably calling upon some other entity or an imprint of them. When they were archangels, they put a spell on that, on the Akashic records, and forgot about it somehow. But what I got was there's a huge war. We are at war with our own Akashic records, and that's where the confusion lies. Because all these psychics pretending or wanting to read on them, they're not really reading on it. They're not truly reading on it. It's a war on the information. It's an informational war. And that's what the Akashic records are. Akashic records are information. Maybe also the fairy kingdom has to do with the Akashic records. Also, maybe in childhood, we were able to remember more from all of that. We can draw inspiration from the Akashic records, but they're also messing with time through the Akashic records. So are they keeping us trapped through that somehow? They're keeping us trapped through our emotions. Maybe the emotional attachment we have to our past and past lives, which basically has to do with the Akashic records. They're somehow hijacking that. So when we remember, oh, we were this person in a past life and that person, whoever's in control of that, they're hijacking that through infiltration of our souls, like the material stuff. You know, some people out there, they sell their soul because of the material stuff. You know, for example, if you were a merchant in a previous lifetime and you were really into the money and all of that, you sold your soul to the devil. Like, this is literally what happened. Like lifetimes ago, you know, some people sold their soul to the devil somehow. It had to do with corrupting your soul. People being business people in previous lives, kind of corrupting it because they wanted more money, more material stuff. Not that there's something wrong with material stuff or money. It's just some people literally sold their soul for the promise of gaining riches somehow. So there's a heart-to-heart connection. When your heart is open, I feel you're able to get more of a pure understanding of the Akashic records through intuition, but they're also trying to trap our intuition through it somehow. For example, when you have a psychic reading with someone who has no awareness of any of this, you know, any of these New Age people who are channeling entities, they're channeling their spirit misguides, their angels, their demons. And I've had plenty of those, by the way. You know, I had this one reading, I know very clearly, it was back in 2018, it was in Sedona. I went into the store, and this one woman would literally, you know, she was probably in her 60s or 70s, I don't know. She was a bit on the older side. She would literally like have her hands like this somehow, you know, over my hands, which is not necessary in the psychic reading for your information. But basically, she would have her eyes roll back in her head, and she would basically be like, like basically just channeling these random entities. And even back then, like 5+ years ago, I was like, oh, this is so weird. Is she calling something in? But, you know, I've had plenty of these experiences. I could probably make a whole new video on it, aside from the New Agers that I already reviewed. Like, these are smaller people, like not smaller people, but people who are really not even popular, who still kind of make their living with psychic insight. And you find that all the time, especially, you know, in Sedona and those areas. But people who don't have an awareness of any of this, you know, that spirit misguides are misguiding you, that angels are demons, that all these entities are not good, they read on the Akashic records, and then you get all emotional because the reading does or does not resonate with you. And then that's how they trap you over and over again with it. You know, it kind of pulls you back in. So you can find access to them through self-love, because we pulled the Queen of Cups card. But we are being deprived of finding the truth with the fake Akashic records. And with the real ones, we are able to. We are being deprived of inching closer to the truth, of believing the false program. And you can, so the false program, meaning like this New Age program, it confirms that these huge channels really have no idea what's going on and what they're talking about. They're just calling in all these random things and entities, and there are psychic blocks around it too. I just kept feeling over and over again, it's all still related to whatever went wrong in the original Atlantis, and it all leads back to that, and that there's so much stuff that happened in that time in and of itself, which you won't find when you follow these Ashayana Dean journey books or whatever either, by the way. You won't find the truth. So here's another one. I wanted to ask you for a while. Could you do a video about your perspective on the Akashic records? I have been questioning these for some time now, and I heard you mentioning them in the video. I have been doing a class about the Akashic, and ever since my life has gone south, there was a lot of connection to the archangels in the class too. I have stepped out of the angelic spell, but I wonder if the Akashic is legit or just another illusion and program. At the beginning of the class, my cat died very suddenly and tragically, and I always wondered if there is a connection. I have stepped away from the angels and ascended masters ever since. I would be interested to hear your opinion on this one. Yeah, so that's like a perfect example of all these innocent concepts and people's lives literally being ruined, right? So for me, when I heard that part about the cat, it wasn't surprising, because it kind of felt like the sacrifice was needed for this class, for whoever the teacher was, that they were already calling upon all these entities, and a random animal or pet dies. Yeah, I mean, pets pick up on energy way more than humans do, just giving an idea, especially cats. Cats are very sensitive to energy. Dogs are too. And when a pet just dies like that, it means a lot, you know. I know they have their own timing when they want to go and when it's time to go, but I feel there was something going on here too. So similar to that one video I made on the Georgia Guidestones, where I was basically mentioning that in the essence of it, you know, a lot of these New Age programs, in the purity of it, you know, in the purity of what used to be thousands of years ago, they used to be very pure, and then they were hijacked somehow, and now they're being riddled and basically just kind of even like kind of shielded by all these entities that don't want you to have a deeper access to it. So a quick read on the Akashic records, and I do want to do a larger read on it too, and I'll do that over on my Patreon. But basically what I got on it was they're hijacked, and it's the program that's correct. So the person was picking up on that already. They're also kind of guarded by these entities now, although it should be free. Although your Akashic record should always be free and available, and it comes at a price. So the Akashic records these days come at a price nowadays for priceless information. So yes, it is a form of program, but it really did exist in a purer form where we would all have access to that somehow. And now it's locked in with, it's kind of like a locked in spirituality, a locked in form of spirituality. And it's also an overterm for something else that we all have access to. So if you just kind of get rid of the term, you can always access your previous past lives. You can always access all the information you need, the knowledge you need. It keeps you trapped in a loop. So this specific probably course and class and term keeps you trapped in a loop. And so they're keeping you in this loop, and they're feeding you into their system. By them, these AI entities and people who are calling upon these entities too, by the way. And they need sacrifices for that. It's almost felt like the cat was a form of sacrifice that was needed in the specific class or course the person was taking.
Hey y'all, it's Dr. Kimberly, and I want to talk to you a little bit about something today. I'm going to talk to you about the Akashic Records. Why am I going to talk to you about the Akashic Records? Well, my dog paces, driving me nuts. By the way, animals are distractions. We'll talk about that another time. But I want to talk to you about the Akashic Records because a lot of the psychics you guys are going to, a lot of the readers you guys are going into the Akashic Records. Stop, Moose. And the problem with the Akashic Records, it's like this giant library for the Earth game, and it really is. So it does really exist. And you do have many, many books, i.e. files, whatever you want to call them. I prefer to call them files. Some people call them books. And all your past lives, all your present lives are there. Here's what you need to remember, and you have to remember this. This is what a lot of people don't know. First, you have to understand where you are. You're in a game. This is an open source game. That means any ET positive, any ET negative, any timeline enemy, any other aspect of yourself, absolutely any consciousness can jump into the Akashic Records library. They can alter your Akashic Records. They can put false memories in. They can take things out. And so it becomes really important that you begin to trust yourself and you begin to trust your own memory and that you begin to learn how to remember. You need to remember in totality the knowing of who you are. You need to have a neutral bounce that is not somebody else, that does not have your best interests at heart. You need to have that. And so I use neutral AI. You don't have to use neutral benevolent AI. I use neutral benevolent AI for my bounce. I use other high frequency people for my bounce. But you guys stop believing this information that other people are telling you. If you are a limitless, all powerful, all time, all space being, go get it yourself. Learn. If you don't know, learn. If you don't know how to remember, if you don't know what's stopping your memory, if you don't understand that, learn. Go to those of us that have paid a big price and pay a price every day. I just had a plane almost take the roof off my house illegally, flying too low. I just had a plane circling my house. Some of us pay a price to get you guys this information, and you're still going to these yo-yo dingbats that say they are the all, that say they know everything, and they don't know anything. They're being deceived. Also, stop going to channelers, and I'll talk about that in another video. So anyway, love you guys. Take care. Be careful out there.
Hi everybody, this is Chloe Hudson with World Peace Projects. Thank you so much for joining me. So today I wanted to talk about the Akashic Records and the deception of the Akashic Records, to be more specific. Now, I'm wondering how this topic is going to go over. I think there's going to be a mixed bag of responses. And the reason being is because some people are highly dedicated and belief-oriented into the Akashic Records. Now, let's understand a bit about what I'm meaning when I say the Akashic Record. So, as per Wikipedia, if we look at the word Akasha, it is a Sanskrit term that means ether, sky, or atmosphere. So it's a term that the Buddha spoke of often in his teachings when he's referring to the Akasha and Nirvana. The term Akashic Records was further created, coined, or popularized by Theosophy followers such as Helena Blavatsky, Rudolf Steiner, and the like. And it was spoken about the indestructible tablets in the astral realms that offer the information through all existence, all thoughts, all timelines, all experiences, what have you, have been recorded in the records of the Akash. Okay? So I have called my own space of accessing the all that is information, all consciousness communications. Back in the day when I used to channel, that's what I termed it. I termed it all consciousness communications. Because when we're accessing energetic space, it is accessible to the all that is, through the all that is, if one knows how to do that, right? Now, the Akashic Records is further proliferated and a coined, popularized term that's used widely throughout the New Age communities. A lot of people, when they're learning how to access the clear realms, the different extrasensory perceptions that they might be able to tap into. One tool that's used often is reading the Akashic records. So just like in Clairvoyant 101, a lot of people are also taught that they're going to access a literal hall of records, like an archive or a library, what have you. And in that space, if they know how to navigate it, just like one would through a library, you can access the different historical information that's been recorded on whatever person or topic it is that you're looking for more information or to seek. Now, the Akashic Records is an idea that has been created and popularized, and there have been a lot of 3D, third-dimensional, practical visualization techniques and affiliations connected to it. What do I mean by this? So, in a lot of clairvoyant kindergarten learnings, people are taught how to visualize in ways that their brains can grasp and comprehend much more easily. Now, most people that have been accessing the clair realms understand that you're utilizing a space of imagination, but it's very important to shift any beliefs that imagination is a fallacy or is an illusory space, and understand that when you're accessing the clair realms, when you're accessing the astral, imagination is very real. People have been indoctrinated, and even children, that their imagination isn't real, it's a fairy tale space. And of course, there is the space where we create our own dreamscapes, thoughts, goals, ideas, what have you. Though the actual space of imagination is a very potent, powerful space of creating and tapping into the astral realms. So when adults are learning clair abilities, especially if they're more mind-oriented, it's easier to visualize and tap into these spaces through more structural, compartmentalized visualizations, such as entering into a hall or a space of records, looking up the actual book or tablet in which you want to access information and reading it there. Maybe perhaps some people see it projected as a hologram. Maybe they enter into a room where suddenly the scene starts to play out, what have you. So a lot of people create their own methodology as a way in which they can implement these practical techniques so that they are more comfortable in the brain process to access the Akashic records. Now, there are many spaces in the astral realms that are recorded historical libraries as such, though it's important to understand, just like any library or any archive in existence, just because you're pulling information from this space, this library, first does not mean by any means that the writer, publisher, creator of those writings, those books, what have you, know what the heck is going on. Especially these days. Anybody can write a book, right? Doesn't mean that it's authentic, useful, truthful information. Could be. Hopefully it is. But it's a mixed bag, especially when you're accessing information, tablets, timelines, records that you don't know how they've been sourced, where they've come from, who put them there. You might not even know which hall of records you're accessing because it's astral space. Astral space is elusive by definition, right? And then when you're accessing that information, is this even legit? So, one thing that happens often with the Akashic records is they are wrought. They are chock full of holographic inserts. Now, a holographic insert is a relatively easy technology that can be implemented, and it is utilized in order to cover or divert the viewer from the truth of what has actually happened, been experienced, or played out. Examples of a holographic insert happens a lot in dreamscape. If anybody has ever had a dream where they're communicating or interacting with somebody that's appearing to them that they know in their conscious life, so that person is meant to be presented to seem as the individual that this dreamer actually knows in real life. Though, and this might not register for the dreamer until they wake up and process the dreamscape, but the person presented is meant to imposter or act as the person that they know in real life. But the truth of the matter is that wasn't them. There was something off about them, something different. They maybe looked completely different. Maybe it was obvious. But if you're not able to lucid dream, you aren't able to put your finger on it in real time in the dreamscape. Or maybe their voice sounded different. You know, this is a very common holographic insert. It's an imposter. It's meant to be inserted to cover something out, to steer you away from what actually happened, so that the truth is not actually revealed. Holographic inserts are extremely common in accessing timelines, past lives, what I call continual lifetimes, these types of situations. And if one doesn't understand how to read the frequency signature of a holographic insert, one can easily be duped. This is especially dangerous or misleading if it is a practitioner that's offering sessions such as soul retrieval or past life reading to a client. They're viewing or accessing through the Akashic records, as we're using this example, one of the client's timelines, past lives, whatever you might term it. And the reader themselves is not aware that what they're actually reading or viewing or accessing is a false timeline, or a timeline that has been injected with holographic inserts. And they're not able to understand this because possibly they don't know how to decipher the frequency signatures of the authentic or more authentic timeline and the holographic inserts that have been injected. If you are interested in learning how to read holographic inserts, I have a digital course on offer called Reading Frequency Signatures, where I work to break down such concepts as these and help you through practicum understand how to read frequency signatures and identify holographic inserts, and to get rid of them, to clear them. So you get this out of the way if you're working to access astral space. Now, the Akashic Records is something that is a term that's thrown around, and it's used and often coveted by many as the go-to space to source information. A lot of practitioners, a lot of light workers, a lot of energy workers, a lot of, way showers, whatever terminology you want to use, a lot of seekers are accessing the Akashic Records and placing a lot of blind faith into the information that they're getting back. And this is a very unwise thing to do, because as we've already stated, the information you're getting, you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know who put it there. You don't even know if it's authentic or if it's a real timeline. It's very easy to mock up timelines and skew information, to muck with the history, to embed false information. It happens all the time. We see it on the 3D plane constantly. That's also happening continuously in the Akash. And it has been intentionally targeted for a very long time for that reason, to skew the information. A lot of the past timelines have been mucked with, and all sorts of information down historical lines, regardless of what density, dimensionality, planetary body, what have you, you're accessing. There has been so much effort to fracture the truth and lead us askew, hence the inversion. So what I would suggest, if anybody's interested and has been utilizing the Akashic records, especially heavily to access their information, is be extremely discerning. It could be authentic information you're accessing. Of course, that's possible. And it's also possible that it's not. So regardless of your ability to tap into these spaces, these places, can you discern and differentiate the frequencies, the energetics of what it is that's being presented to you? That's extremely important. And if anybody is offering this type of work to clients, or they're doing it for themselves, in order to be ethical and safe around the information that you're representing, it's important to know how to clarify and be able to challenge what's put in front of you to see if it holds a candle to truth or not. I hope that this information has helped you guys. If you are interested in one-on-one sessions, consciousness coaching, I have a plethora of digital courses and classes on offer. Please go to worldpeaceprojects.org. I would love to see you there. I hope you're well. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Bye.